Welcome to Coug on the Clock. I'm Gunnar Miller.
And I'm Drew Amburgy.
Today we'll talk about WSU football and volleyball.
And then take a look at the beginning of the season for the Kraken and also the Arizona Cardinals and Packers game from last Thursday.
All right. The first topic, WSU with a huge upset win against the Arizona State Sun Devils, 34-21. Our defense looked great with 5 turnovers, and our offense just looked amazing out there.
Yeah, it was an amazing performance on both sides of the ball from the Cougs. Really good game plan. Now, the Cougs forced 3 turnovers on 3 straight possessions in that first quarter, which really just set the tone for the whole game.
Definitely.
Gave the offense some short yardage fields. And Delora and Calvin Jackson Jr. were just in sync all game long, combining for over 130 yards. And dominant first quarter, and the Cougs just kept their foot on their throats and came away with a dominant victory down in Tempe.
Yeah, definitely. We are 1 game out of bowl game contention now. That's always good to hear with 3 games left. Also, I got to say I'm impressed with Jake Dicker. Coming in that situation a couple weeks back, and he set up 2 solid game plans for the last 2 games, even though it was resulted in 1 loss and 1 win. So, I mean, I got to just be proud about that.
Yeah, congrats to him. Congrats to Jake Dickert for getting his first win as WSU's head coach, hopefully the first of many. With everything that's happened to this football team, if we can just get to the postseason, get to a bowl game, which I think we'll be able to considering we have 2 fairly easier games coming up, I think that would be a win for the season. So hopefully, we can keep things rolling and keep the defense playing well as they have been.
Yeah, and with our next game being Oregon, I want to know how you feel about that game, how it's going to fare.
I think the Cougs got a shot. I mean, we've played fairly well against Oregon, this decade, really. Mm-hmm. We've always given them a pretty hard shot, if not winning. So I think we got a good chance, especially coming off of a bye week next week. So we're going to have plenty of time to get healthy, get rested, and go to Autzen and get a win.
Yeah, with our next 2 games after that being Arizona and UW, do you think we'll easily win those games, or do you think it's going to be tough?
Well, I think the Arizona game should be an easy win. Knock on wood, you never know. And then UW, just not having a very good year, but there's obviously still some talent on that roster. So we're going to have our work cut out for us because the Apple Cup is always crazy. But it's a winnable game. They're one of the lower teams in the Pac-12. But you never know. You never know with the Huskies.
Yeah, after 9 years of not winning, you got to think this is going to be a tough game.
It's been brutal, but you know what? If there's any year to do it, this is the year, right?
Yeah, well, not much to talk about on that topic, and we'll dive into the next one with WSU Volleyball. They're one of the better teams in the country right now and in the Pac-12. They're ranked at 21 in the country, and one of our better players, Magna Yalasharava, she's looked really well with 29 blocks overall in the season.
Yeah, she's having a great season. Dominant 3-0 win over USC down in LA. It was nice to get back in the win column and move up in the standings. We were 22, moved up to 21, so, moving in the right direction. But I was really impressed this weekend with the Cougar Middles, who combined for 24 kills on 38 attempts with 7 blocks as well, too. So impressive performance from them, and hopefully they can keep it rolling into the tournament.
Yeah, I think if this team can make the tournament, I think they can make a deep push to the Sweet 16 and even the Elite 8. I mean, I've seen this team for many years just get better and better year in and year out, and I honestly could see this team making a deep run for the future, and I would be so excited if the team I've watched for 6 years now, if they could really pull out and just finally go to the promised land.
Mm-hmm. And, they're only ranked 21, but I think they're definitely underranked, especially being out there in Pullman. Not a typical powerhouse for volleyball. We've just kind of been good the last 3 or 4 years. I think we are underranked because when we do play the top teams in the country, those games normally go 5 sets. We've had some wins over some top 10 teams this year. So I think they definitely do have a shot. I think you're right of making an Elite 8 or at least a Sweet 16 run in the tournament. So hopefully they can do that and go Cougs.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And just like the teams we've beat Oregon, who's ranked higher than us. We've beat We've beat Colorado. We beat UW, and UW was a thriller.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back when UW was the number one team, number like top 5 team in the country at the time. So that was a really impressive win for them. They have the talent to go with anybody in the country. It's just if the balls fall in their way.
Yeah, definitely. And I would love to see how this fares over the next couple weeks, and then maybe we can recap and see how their season went after the tournament.
Hopefully we're talking about a deep playoff run.
Yeah, definitely. Well, not really much more to talk about that. Let's hope the best for our women's volleyball team. We'll dive into the Kraken start of the year. They have started off a little rocky at 3-5-1, but I still think there's some hope for this team. What's your thoughts?
Well, with any expansion team, obviously the Vegas Golden Knights were kind of just an anomaly, but with any expansion teams, you're going to have your growing pains. You got a bunch of guys who have never played an actual NHL game together. They've been playing hard. Most of the games have been pretty close. Got some good wins. It was impressive. They had a little win streak with the Canadians, or beating the Canadians and the Wild. Obviously losing to the Rangers kind of hurt that when they looked like they were starting to get on a roll. But Brandon Tanev's been playing really well. What do you think about his play so far this season?
He's definitely been our, if not better players, with most goals scored for us this season. On top of that, he's just played very well. Other offensive players like McCann has played very well. And we have one of the better defensive fronts in the league. I don't know if many people realize that, but we definitely do. We just need to get that team chemistry. And once we get that, I honestly could see us being a playoff caliber team. Not in the top 3 in our division, but I could see us sneaking in as a wild card in hearsay.
I could definitely see that in the future as well, too. Like I said, with new teams, it's going to take a while for them to click, get used to it. Wouldn't be surprised if we see this team really start to come together, more towards the middle of the season. Just when they get that chemistry really down, figure out how they want to play together, that type of stuff. It was super exciting for them to get their first home win with that 5-1 win over Montreal. That was awesome to see. They had the stars lined out there. I think Russ and Ciara were there. The Sounders players, everybody coming together. It's always fun to introduce a new sport to the city. So that was pretty cool to see. But yeah, I could definitely see them sneaking into the playoffs. They've had some really close games. Just a couple of unfortunate bounces haven't gone their way so far. But yeah, I do think they have potential to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, and with any expansion team, I feel like Vegas I feel like they kind of set the tone, and it's kind of hard for a newer expansion team to kind of follow that, because they actually made the Stanley Cup their first year. You don't see that at all. And so hopefully this season can go well for the Kraken, and we'll check on them throughout the season. Just hope for the best, and I think the team chemistry will come. So, yeah.
Yep. Next, we got the Cardinals and Packers, an absolute insane game from last week. Obviously, the Packers came out on top 24-21, which was impressive considering they didn't have what some people think is the best wide receiver in the NFL, Devontae Adams. But, hey, no Adams, no problem for them. The Packers really relied on their running game to overcome the Cardinals. The two-headed monster of A.J. Dillon, Thunder Thighs, and also Aaron Jones combined for 137 yards down in the desert. And what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, one thing I need to say before I get into my spiel of the game is A.J. Green, as your fantasy owner, you are not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And I gotta say, that was one of the most bizarre plays I've ever seen. Final plays of the game, and it resulting in an interception. I don't know if it was miscommunication or he just was not looking for the ball, but I've never seen someone just turned around to the ball and it bounces off him. It's sort of like you were saying earlier, a Madden play.
Yeah, it looked like one of those plays in Madden where you throw your controller because the wide receiver just stops. And then the defender, without barely even seeing it, just reaches his hand out, catches the ball, game over, Packers win. It was an insane play.
Yeah, and I need to say I am very impressed with the Packers play. their 3 top receivers and 2 of their better pass rushers, and they still managed to come out a win. I am not going to ignore the fact that Murray did not have that solid of a game. He did struggle throughout the game. He did get back to himself towards the end, but it was just not enough for the end. Should we be worried about the Cardinals?
I don't think we should be worried about them. I think, honestly, the Packers had a great game plan going in, and I think they might be the best team in the NFC right now. I mean, winners of 7 in a row. They're just hot right now. And I think the Cardinals, you know, they were due for a letdown game, to be honest, because they had been rolling. And you know what? Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it's not your night. You know, and it's Aaron Rodgers in prime time. Yeah. What are you going to do? So, yeah, I wouldn't be too worried if I were the Cardinals. Now, if this continues and they, you know, see a little slack off and play, I would get worried. Last year, they started off strong as well, too, and then struggled down the stretch. So they definitely don't want to make a habit of having a letdown game. But I'm not pressing the panic button for the Cardinals just yet just because of one loss.
Yeah, and with this game, it was so important if you think about for the future with these top 2 teams because it means so much for playoff implications in the future. If they tie at the end of the year, Packers get the 1 seed and the bye. So,
yeah, that's what I would be worried about if I was a Cardinals fan. You know, obviously I didn't think they were going to go 16-0 or 17-0. My apologies. But yeah, losing that one because now they have the same record. Now if they have the same record at the end of the season, like you said, the Packers would get that tiebreaker. So they got to play well to the end of the rest of the season because you only got that 1 bye. So, you know, you got to be the best record in the NFC to get that bye. But yeah, you heard the bell there.
Yes. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, our beautiful assistant.
Excuse me, I think the word you're searching for is Space Ranger.
But
this day in history, November 3rd, Barry Bonds hits his 70th home run to tie the MLB record.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players of all time. Do you think he should be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, although he cheated, I feel as if not many people were really worried about what he was doing during his career in the MLB. I feel like if we can compare this to the Astros situation where they didn't get literally any punishment, we should keep that same energy in getting Barry Bonds into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. I think there definitely should be an asterisk because, you know, he did cheat. He did cheat. But even before the steroid days of his career, he was an unbelievable player and one of the best hitters in the league. So I still think he should be rewarded and memorialized for what he did even before the steroids. And I mean, just one of the greatest hitters we've ever seen, ever, if not the greatest hitter. So I do think he should be in there as well, too.
I agree with that 100%. And with that, let's get into birthdays. We both have one. We'll start with mine as happy birthday to Kendall Jenner, being friends with a lot of NBA players. Yes, friends. So, yep, she's very famous for that, and she's famous for many other things.
And
honestly.
happy birthday. Happy birthday
to
her.
Yeah.
My birthday is actually a former Coug. You might have known him from the Rocky movie. It's Dolph Lundgren, who's a Wazoo alum. He turned 63 today. So happy birthday, Dolph. And my other one is Colin Kaepernick. He should probably still be in the league. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
All right. I'll let you say that. And with that, please follow our social media platform, Unorthodox.sports, at all our social media platforms. And that's it for this week's edition of Coug on the Clock. I'm Gunnar Miller.
And I'm Drew Amburgy.
Have a great week, Cougs, and go Cougs.